Thank you for joining me for another episode of Throwback Thursday. Let me just make sure that everything is kind of set up here and looking good before we get into it. Just make sure everything's kind of straight because it doesn't take much. Make sure the phone is level here. All these little things that I could do before I hit go live. Unfortunately, every time I go to do that, the phone wants me to flip it and I need it to be in this orientation so you can see everything that I am doing. So first off, I want to apologize about this Throwback Thursday. Again, it's a Throwback Thursday video. This is actually a video that was supposed to be posted earlier in the week. So I am recording this Sunday evening, March 1st. And actually, this should have been posted on Thursday, February 26th. But that whole week had gotten away from me, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to get it in. And then, then Saturday, things happened, and so I wasn't able to get to it. And then, of course, I was still working on trying to come up with the ideas of what I was going to do. Sometimes, with some bundles or stamp sets, ideas come very, very easily, and then sometimes not so much. And that was the case with this one. What I am using, there's a lot of bits and pieces to it. So if you are somebody that you love the the die sets that have like all these little bits and pieces that you can like build a scene or whatever, then this is definitely one of those. This is the on display bundle. This is the stamp set. Now, again, this is in our new packaging. And what I do is I also include the set of dies in the same packaging as well. So then they're all together. So with this bundle, right now it's on our last chance list. The stamp set is gone, it's no longer available, but the set of dies are still available. So if there's some things in here you can probably use, like you've got some detailed set of books and a jar and a bird cage, a little frame, um, yeah, even some plants. So this is also available, and for as a matter of fact, let me give you the price because the price on this is also discounted. And let me bring that up really quick. So that here in the US, these set of dies were originally $39, and right now they're marked down to $23.40. And again, the stamp set is gone, but the set of dies is still available. And let me do one thing really quick here. Okay, let me get back to the video. So this is what we're going to be working with. One of the cards that I will be doing, I will actually be using, the dies and kind of creating the bookshelf with some items on it. And then my first card, I'm not going to use that. I'm going to basically utilize a couple of the stamps and the dies, and it's a very clean and simple looking card, but it does have a little bit of a wow factor to it. So let me bring in the bits and pieces for this card. A lot of this I had done ahead of time, so what I like to do to save a little bit of time on my videos, I will do my die cutting or embossing ahead of time. Now, in the case with this one, I had, in order to do the die cutting, I also did the stamping beforehand. So I have my bits and pieces here, so I'll explain kind of like how I stamped them and what I used to stamp them and, all that stuff. So my card base is a basic white thick. It measures 8.5 by 5.5. I got it scored at 4 1/4. I have a piece of basic white that measures 4.5 by 3 1/4. And then I have a few scraps here. So out of basic white, I had stamped the bird cage in basic gray ink, and I used the outline die to die cut that out. For this pot, I had used strawberry slush. And then on the plant, it does die cut this little extra piece right here. So then that way you can actually have something to glue the pot on top of. And I'm seeing that I'm kind of bouncing in and out. So let me kind of bring it up a little bit. What happens when there's too much movement going on, the camera is trying to focus in and out. And so I can see that it's kind of going in and out, and it's kind of bouncing in and out, and that is a little bit annoying. Hold on. Did it stop? No, it's not stopping. Come on. Work, 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 work. Because I know that bouncing was probably a bit frustrating. I know it would drive me crazy. Okay, hold on. It's still doing it. Just wish it would stop so I can get my video done. Come on. Just quit. Okay, hopefully this thing will stop doing this focusing in and out. So I gotta get through this video. So there's more that I actually have to do. So again, the bird cage that it was stamped in basic gray, use that outline die to die cut it. On the planter pot, this is stamped in strawberry slush and it was die cut. And then on the plant, what I did is I used my sponge daubers. I started out with inking up the top part of these leaves with Old Olive ink, and then I used this another sponge dauber with Pretty Peacock, and I kind of did like the bottom part, so that way I had like a two-tone color in my leaves here. And then this piece right here, this is pecan pie. To get this piece, I took the die that creates the bookshelf itself, and what I did was I just die cut this top strip right here, and then I trimmed it down to, what did I trim it down to? Like 2.5 inches long. So our bird feeder and our plant is going to sit on that. And then I'm also going to stamp a greeting, and I am going to stamp "You're the Best." So in this set, the greetings that are in here are "Just for you," "You're the best," "Treat your shelf," "You deserve all the good stuff," "You've been on my mind," "Hello," and "A birthday for the books." And again, there's a lot of different images too that you can also stamp with this. So you got like the solid, and then you got the stripes for doing the cat. You can have a cat sit on your shelf, and you can do it in any color that you want. And I actually did that for my second card. Okay, so let me bring in my Pearson mat. Being that this is a photopolymer set, I do want to get a good stamped image when I go to stamp. So let me bring that in. I get things out of the way. Okay, so first what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring in also my silicone craft sheet, and I'm going to take my plant here and a little bit of glue. I'm just going to add a little bit down here. Now what I want to do before I put this on, I'm going to take my scissors, and this white part here from when I die cut this, I'm going to remove that white part off the top. So then that way I'll line this up like so. Kind of shift my plant over a little bit. Kind of look at it at the back. It looks good. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in my dimensionals. And I'm going to add one right here to kind of reinforce that plant that's glued down to my pot, and put another one right there. Okay, so we got our plant all ready to go. And then I'm going to add dimensionals to the back of my birdhouse as well. Not birdhouse, bird cage. It's a cage, not a house. Okay, so then let's move that out of the way. And I'm going to take my card base, I'm going to fold and burnish that. Okay, I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to take this strip. Again, this is pecan pie cardstock, and I just die cut the top part of that bookshelf and then trimmed it down to 2.5 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my liquid glue. I'm going to add some to the back of this. And then I'm going to attempt to put this on here straight. Let's see, we're going to put that right about there. I'm kind of looking at my grid paper to see if I got it lined up. So I'm kind of following right there. And it looks good. Okay, and then I'm going to take, actually I'm not going to put those on quite yet because I want to stamp my greeting first. So You're the Best, and I'm going to use Starry Sky. It's one of our ink colors that retired a couple of years ago. I love this color blue. It's a nice, it's a really nice, what kind of blue would I describe that? Yeah. Words are hard, guys. Words are hard. It's a pretty blue. I'll just say that. Like a royal blue, I guess. Okay. And then I'm going to stamp this right underneath. Like so. And when it dries, it's going to dry a little bit lighter, so that blue will be a little bit brighter. Okay, and then let me close up my glue. And let's go and add, actually we'll wait. We're going to actually take this, we're going to pop this up onto our card base. So I'll do that first. So I'm going to add a few extra on here. So then that way it's not all saggy in the middle. Down there, and then one more. Yeah, I try to get my videos, the ones that I pre-record, I try to get them, you know, done in advance and have them scheduled to post at 5 a.m. Central Time. And just, you know, it was a crazy work week last week. Well, earlier this week, because we're still in the same week. And, you know, I still had to come up with the ideas for my Friday Night Live. So the Friday Night Live, that happened, you know, as scheduled. But when it came to this, and then I also got my paper pumpkin kit. So that is actually another video that I will be recording tonight as well. So stay tuned. That one's going to post right after this one. And so kind of trying to do things in order on how they would have been posted on YouTube. Okay, so I took my my smaller panel of basic white, and I put some dimensionals on the back, and I popped that up on my card base. Now I'm going to take my bird cage and I'm going to place that actually on this one too. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to trim this bit of white that's right on the bottom. So then that way it's sitting flat. Okay. And let's see. Place that right. Hard to see where the bottom of this is. So I'm going to place that there. And then my plant is going to sit right over here on this side. A little bit of glue. Okay. And actually, this is all that I'm doing with this card. I just felt that this was just nice and simple, all white with that pop of that, the pink and the green and the blue. And just a very simple card that went together pretty quickly. So there is my first card. And now the second card, I am going to be featuring some of that bookshelf, but I modified it a little bit. So there's different things. Whoops, and I just dropped a piece, and that's not good because we need that piece. All right. Again, I did a lot of die cutting ahead of time. So for this one, my card base, this is pretty Peacock, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. I have a piece of basic beige that measures 4.5 by 4 1/4. And a lot of stuff I pre-stamped and die cut, and then regular cardstock I had die cut as well. So this is the bookshelf piece. I die cut this out of basic white, and we're going to trim this down so we actually have a smaller bookshelf. So actually I'm going to be using this section right here. So you can use it full size, you can trim it down to make it whatever size you want, because if you put this on a card front, it basically is going to take up pretty much most of your card front. So a couple of different options that you have with this particular die. Now for the rest of the pieces here at a basic white, there is a set of detailed books. So it's getting blurry, so I die cut that. On the plant, I had stamped the leaves in Old Olive ink and die cut that. Let's see, the little bottle, I stamped that in Pretty Peacock Stamped Off and then die cut that out. My cat, I stamped off on Crushed Curry to do the body of the cat, and then on the stripes I used Timid Tiger Full Strength on that and then die cut that out. My plant, this was die cut out of Old Olive ink. Not Old Olive, that's Old Olive cardstock, excuse me. Then the little pot, so there's the little pot piece that will sit right on top of this piece here. So basically I die cut my the whole image, and then I die cut just the bottom part, and we're going to glue that right on top of that like so. Then the other pot, there's another pot that I had die cut. This one is all, well, wait a minute. I don't know why I said, if I said the color. This color here is terracotta tile. This pot, terracotta tile as well. Then there's this little detailed jar with a lid. This too was die cut out of terracotta tile. Then I die cut another set of those detail books. This one is in gray granite. And then the picture frame is pretty peacock. And then I die cut it again in gray granite. So that's the inside part of my frame. Okay, so all those bits and pieces, and I'm going to take my card base, I'm going to fold and burnish this. Okay, and then my piece of basic beige, it's going to sit on my card. Let's see, is it going to go like that? Yeah, it goes like this. So I'm going to glue this down on my card like so. And I know I'm going to probably have to trim a little bit off of the bottom there. So let me get my glue. And I know that, let's not drop it. I got a fan going on and hopefully you don't hear that. It's starting to feel a little warm. Temperature here, it actually was in, I think it was like 79 degrees yesterday. And then today it was also in the 70s as well. I don't think it was as warm, but it was still, it wasn't cool. And not much of a breeze like there was on Saturday. So I'm going to kind of center that on there. Press that down. And then I'm going to bring in my little guillotine trimmer. And I'm going to trim this down. So I'm going to bring the arm down a little bit. And I'm going to line up the edge of the pretty peacock cardstock. And then I'm going to trim. Okay, so now it's flush with the base of our card. Okay, then I'm going to take my pretty peacock ink and I'm going to bring in the stamp that says hello. So let me take this one and put this one back and get hello. And let's get, I'll get a bigger block so I can see it a little bit better. And put that glue aside. Move that out of the way. Get my card and my pierce mat. Ink this up. And I gotta bring it down a little bit so I could see where I'm stamping here. And I'm going to stamp that right up in this corner like so. Okay. And we'll clean this really quick. All right, so now let's kind of put our little scene together. So I'm done with that right now. So for this bookshelf, I am going to use this section right here. So I'm going to trim away all of the rest of these pieces here. So I'm going to trim right there. And I want to make sure that I trim this straight. Okay, and then I want to trim this bit right here. Okay, so that's all I want is just this little bit right here. Okay, so then I'm going to bring this in. And I'm going to put it in this direction right here. So I'm going to bring in my liquid glue and just add a little bit. I'm not going to go crazy with it. Okay. And then I'm going to place this right about here. So I'll make sure I'm putting it on here straight. Just press that down like so. Okay, then I'm going to take my set of gray granite books. I'm going to add a little bit of glue. Now there are, when you die cut this, there are slits in between the books. So I'm going to try and keep the glue from those little slits so the glue doesn't ooze out. And then I'm going to place this right here. So I'm kind of butting it up against this little notch right here and to the base like so. Then on the white one, I'm going to trim off, let's see, which one do I want? I'm going to trim off these first four and just keep that. And then I'm going to add my glue. Okay, and then I'm going to take this and I'm going to place this down here, like so. So place that there. And then I'm going to get my cat and I'm going to add 2 dimensionals to his body part here. And then I'm going to add glue to the bottom part of his tail. Just a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to prop him up on top of my shelf like so. Like so. And then I'll press down and kind of glue down that tail. Okay, then I'm going to take my little frame here, add some glue. Okay, and then my frame is going to go right in the middle here of this little opening. And actually, frame or a mirror, you can use some designer series paper for the inside if you want. I just did cardstock, and then I'm going to add some Winkostella onto this. So I'm just going to pop that in there like so. Okay, and then my detailed terracotta tile pot here, I'm going to add some glue to this. And then I'm going to place that right here. Oops. Place that right there. Make sure, hold on. The cardstock's thicker, the colored cardstock, it's thicker than the basic white. So this wants to kind of pop off a bit. Okay, then I'm going to take just a tiny bit Actually, let me get these glue goobers off of the tip of this. And then I'm going to add a little bit right here. And then I'm going to bring in, actually, let me do this with my Take Your Pick tool. I'm going to take the lid to the pot and I'm going to add that right on top. Scooch it over a little bit. Kind of overhangs just a tiny bit. Okay. And then my little stamped off pretty Peacock bottle. Add a little bit of glue to that. I'll place that right next to that like so. Okay. And then let's see, what else do we got here? We're going to take this plant right here and we're going to take some glue, put it on our terracotta tile piece. And I'm going to glue that on to the bottom of my pot here. Shifting a little bit, but there we go. So I'm going to take on the back of this, I am going to take 2 dimensionals. Let's see, I'm going to take my smaller ones here. And I'm going to place just one on each of these larger leaves. And then I'm going to add glue to the pot part of it. Okay, and then that is going to go right over here, like so. Just kind of press that down. Okay, set that aside for a second. Let me get my silicone craft sheet again. I'm going to add a little bit of glue to the back, to the bottom actually, of my set of leaves. And then my pot, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of tuck it under that leaf right there. I want the leaf to kind of hang over a little bit. And of course I want my thing to stick. So kind of press that down. Looks good. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this. I'm going to add dimensionals to the leaf parts. And then I'm just going to use some glue on the pot part itself. Put that in. Add a little bit of glue. And then this will sit right over here on this side of the shelf. Like so. Okay, so, oh, wait, there's one more part. Almost forgot. I'm going to use the Wink of Stella. And I'm going to add some to this gray granite part here that's in the middle of our frame. And then I'm going to add some onto this pretty Peacock glass bottle right here. Okay, so there is our second card. So I did one that was just a very clean and simple card, you know, design card, and then this one a little more detail on really utilizing those set of dies. So again, all I did was I cut down the size of that bookshelf to make it a little bit smaller. And of course you can use the full size, which you can do that as a landscape or you can do it as a horizontal, one of the two, depending on how you want your shelf to go. But it is pretty much the size of of the card. So here's just a modified version of it. So really like how cute this one came out. And then the first one that we did is just this very clean and simple, all white with just the pop of, especially the color of the plant in the pot and also in our greeting. So again, I apologize, guys, that this Throwback Thursday didn't get out on Thursday, February 26th. And so as far as like any type of announcements go, if I would have done this on time, then I would have let you know about how the bonus day coupons, how that was going to be wrapping up at the end of the month. And all of that. However, now this isn't posting until the 1st of March. So yeah, we have already gone past that. So there were a lot of things that I did speak about that are up and coming and are changing. I did that on my Friday night live that I did on February 27th. So that is out there. I talked about all that stuff at the very beginning. If you like the projects that I have made, please give the video a thumbs up. Also, if you're new here, I have a lot of video content out here. I think I have like 300 and wow, I forgot how many videos I got. I think 348 after I get done recording the next one that I'm going to do. So if everything's kind of like in playlists, so I have my Friday night lives, I have my Throwback Thursdays, I have my paper pumpkin kit that I unbox and I create one of each project. And then I also have my monthly Christmas card inspiration that with that one I used whatever product I may have. It could be current, it could be retired. I create two fairly simple duplicatable cards, and that gives you inspiration if you want to make your Christmas cards throughout the year. Um, a lot of stuff that I put out here on my channel. So if you like what you see, consider subscribing, hit that little notification bell. It'll let you know when I post a video and also when I go live. And again, when I go live on my Friday nights, I create 3 cards using current product, and at the end of my live, I actually do a card giveaway where I do a wheel of names where you can win one of the cards that I made that night. And there's also a free PDF of the projects that I make as well. So all that info is out there. So since we are near the beginning of March, come Tuesday, March 3rd, I will be sending out my monthly newsletter. My monthly newsletter will give you all of my video content, the product that I'm going to be using for the month. It will also contain anything that I'm doing here at the studio, what Stampin' Up is offering, also new kits that Stampin' Up comes out with, the next paper pumpkin kit that comes out, and any information along those lines I put in my newsletter. So if you're interested in receiving my newsletter, in the description below there is a link that you can sign up for my newsletter. When you click on it, you're adding your first and last name and your email address, and then when I'm ready to go and send it out, then it'll go out to everybody that's on my list. Now, I will let you know that typically I only do like one newsletter a month. The only time that I may do another one is if Stampin' Up! Has some kind of promotion that they are having. Usually we don't know about these in advance, so thus why I do another modified newsletter just to let you know about that. But other than that, I don't do a daily newsletter, so I don't bombard your email at all. So if you're interested, again, that link is below. Also, we're going to have a new catalog that's going to be coming out. It is okay, April, May through August, actually. I did talk about the whole catalog situation on what's changing there on my Friday Night Live that I did just this past Friday on the 27th. So if you want to know all about that, you can go back and you can watch that. So again, thank you so much for stopping by, and I hope that you like the projects that I made. And I will also be working on what I will be using for the month of March. So I can't let you know yet what I'm doing for my Throwback Thursdays because I still got to work on that. So, but I hope that you will stop by again. And I totally appreciate you stopping by, watching, giving it a like or subscribe or any comments and all that. I truly, truly appreciate it. So until next time, everybody have a blessed one. Bye bye.